Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I just take you through the components. Since the main paper we pass across to you to your emails. Components of the 2014 scale of fees. Projects up to 10 million naira, 6%. 10 to 100 million naira, 4.5%. 100 million to 500 million naira, 3.75%. Above 500 million naira, 3%. Then the deficiencies in the 2014 framework. The current fee structure of 2014 is plagued by several systemic issues. Outdated cost indices. Costs have increased by over 250% due to inflation and naira devaluation. Uniform rate across disciplines neglect the complexity differences between, say, electrical and mechatronics projects. Weak enforcement. Many government agencies and developers ignore the fee structures. No adjustment for risk evaluation, and projects involving cutting-edge technology or high risk have no premium. So there are consequences for the under-enumeration, and there's a call for urgent reform. This urgent reform call is discipline-specific valuation, value-based pricing, incentive for local engineering firms, and dynamic adjustment mechanisms linked to macroeconomic indices. Chapter 3 of this paper discusses the comparative global practices in engineering enumeration. I have overview here. I have the RIBA plan and IC guidelines, the UK engineering guide, IC standards, South Africa, SACAP and ECSA models, United States hourly-based and fixed structure. US engineering system varies by state, but commonly hourly billing $75 to $50 per hour, fixed lump sums of design build contracts, value-based pricing for advanced patent solutions. I have prices for the entry-level engineer, senior consultant, specialized mechanical AI engineers. Lessons for Nigeria. Nigeria should establish a dynamic fee structure indexed to inflation and foreign exchange. Enforce discipline, strategic rates reflecting technical complexities. Provide legal backing for all Coren approved fees via federal acts. Develop a transparent digital fees calculator accessible to all calculators. Chapter 4, design specific frameworks for engineering enumeration in Nigeria. The introduction here, rationale for discipline-based differentiation, proposed disciplines for consultancy fees for guide, engineering guide, there's a table of engineering discipline, civil structural roads 4.5, electrical 5%, mechanical 5.5, agriculture 6%, petroleum and gas 6.5, mechatronics and robotics 7.5, ICT 8%, environmental 6%. The hourly rates recommended for Nigerian engineers: graduate engineers 25,000 per hour, registered Coren engineer 40,000, senior engineers 5 to 10 years 60,000, and principal consultant 85,000. Chapter 5, institutional reforms and policy interventions. There's a Coren strengthening the regulator. Nigerian Society of Engineers lead professional consensus. Public procurement reforms. Tax and financial incentives. National implementation strategy and stakeholder engagement. We have the strategic goals, the stakeholders, regulatory bodies like Coren, NSC, government ministries, legislator, private sector, and academic institutions. Roadmap for implementation. The phase plan from 2025 to 2027, quarter 1 to quarter 2, stakeholder consultations, 2025, quarter 3 to 4, drafting application of the updated scale fees, quarter 1, 2026, public policy launch, and 2026-27, enforcement via procurement reforms and Coren. Monitoring and evaluation, suggested KPIs. 1. Compliance among government contracts, average billing rate versus approved standard, retention of local engineering firms, and reduction in unethical undercutting. Communication and awareness strategy. Engineering fees awareness week, national fee calculator app, stakeholders letters and publications, integration into tertiary engineering curricula. Final word. The modernization of Nigerian engineering fee and structure is a national imperative. It affects infrastructure quality, professional dignity, and economic stability. Chapter 7, strengthening institutional and stakeholder collaboration. We look at the stakeholders, that's Coren, NSC, NUC, Ministry of Works, Legislation, and Judiciary. Strategic partnership models can be built through multi-stakeholder thinker committees, policy development roundtables, MOUs among regulators, institutional engineering observations to track implementation. Chapter 8, policy, legal, and legal framework for implementation. The overview, the current legal landscape, require policy reforms, legislative actions, legislative instruments for enforceable fee regulation. Chapter 9, roadmap for national adoption and sustainability. The 5-phase roadmap. Phase 1, national workshop stakeholders and town halls. Year 1, sectoral engagement to involve Coren, NSC, NUC, and MDAs. Legal drafting and passage of the policy relevant laws, circular reforms and gazettes, National Assembly and Ministry of Justice. Pilot implementation in a select year adoption, BPP, Federal Ministry of Work and States. Nationwide enforcement, all MDAs and Coren. Periodic review by Coren, NSC, and the academia. Chapter 10 is the way forward and a call to action. The earlier chapters have provided a detailed diagnosis of the inadequacies in Nigerian engineering fee structures and clear roadmap for reform. This chapter highlights the practical steps required by each stakeholder group to activate reforms and usher in a new era of fairness, professionalism, and competitiveness in engineering practice. The stakeholder action plans by stakeholder, key action items and responsible stakeholders, immediate action plans, stakeholder group, Society of Engineers, National Assembly, state government, academia. Public awareness and advocacy. The success of this reform hinges on public encouragement and industry advocacy. Coren, in partnership with NSC and media partners, should launch a nationwide fair pay for engineers campaign, publish simplified guides and digital tools for clients Host annual national engineering innovation conferences packages. Innovation and technology adoption. It means for- it means for- Come. Mr. Man, when you are giving me a paper, you do have time?
One 30 minutes in one person.
No, it's not. Okay. Let me round up. In conclusion, summary of the recommendations. Below is a consolidated table summarizing the key policy, institutional and operational recommendations arising from this national discourse. Recommendation: update Coren 2014 scale fee, amend correct act, reset fee structures linked to procurement laws, establish Coren NSC NUC Industrial Council on engineering evaluation, review of engineering curriculum, incorporate domain capacity. Closing reflections. Engineering is the soul of national development. The bridges we cross, the homes we live in, the water we drink, the electricity we use, all are products of engineering brilliance. But brilliance fades when undervalued. The engineering profession must transition towards standardized, concept-based remuneration packages to ensure fairness, quality, and long-term sustainability. Nigeria must reverse the systemic devaluation of service by a fair model and enforceable remuneration package. This is not only an economic necessity, but a moral imperative to preserve the future of Nigerian engineering, promote indigenous farms, and protect integrity of our national development. We must recognize that without engineers, roads cannot be built, water cannot be distributed, industry cannot be powered. Fair compensation is the beginning of national policy. MC. So building consensus on the mission of engineering structure and businesses in Nigeria, this policy briefly addressed the need for a unified and transparent remuneration structure. In recent years, the engineering sector in Nigeria has faced challenges with inconsistency pricing, lack of standardization, and an absence of clear frameworks for determining fair compensation. These issues have not only undermined the sector's growth, but have also led to the disparities in quality of services rendered. By establishing a clear, consensus-driven remuneration structure, stakeholders can foster a more equitable environment for businesses and professionals to enhance industry food service delivery. Key issues, you can come. Key issues, lack of standard remuneration. I'm going to finish now. Unregulated fee examination, regional and sectoral disparities, inadequate representation and advocacy, lack of transparency and trust, creation of national engineering fees framework, public consultation and stakeholder engagement, incorporation of benchmark and industrial standards, legal framework and enforcement, capacity building and training, strengthening professional associations, enhanced transparency and control agreements, timeline, key stakeholders, monitoring and evaluation. So this paper will be given to them, have you? Yes. No, normally it's supposed to be given to them before now. Is this scroll, have you? Yes. That's good. In conclusion, the establishment of a unified and transparent remuneration and fees structure for engineering services in Nigeria will address long-standing challenges of inequity, underpricing, and quality disparities in the sector. Through inclusive consultation, standardized fees framework, and robust mechanisms, Nigeria can create a thriving, sustainable engineering industry that attracts investment, enhances professional standards, and ultimately contributes to the nation's development goals. So let it be said that this generation of engineers, policymakers, and stakeholders came together today to lay a foundation of dignity, value, and justice for those who build the physical world around us. Let this manuscript serve as a national blueprint, a rallying document, and a living testimony to how Nigeria turned financial crisis into transformative opportunity. Thank you. No nation develops faster than the value we place on engineers. Pay them fairly, empower them fully, watch the nation flourish. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you will notice, we have transitioned to plenary session, which is chaired by Engineer Professor Sadiq Zubair Abubakar, FNSE, President of Coren. We shall now take the second paper presentation and thereafter invite the chairman of this plenary section to come forward. Then we will continue with other items on our agenda. Thank you very much.
Before I call up the next paper presenter, I would like to humbly request that we give him a more deserving round of applause. Let's appreciate Senator Omisore for that wonderful presentation. Please appreciate him. Thank you. For her presentation on the strategic alliances and ERM expansion for engineering compliance, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the fore Her Excellency, Engineer Noimoth Salako Oyedele, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and Deputy Governor, Ogun State. Please give her a round of applause as she comes to the fore. Please make your applause better, make it louder.
Good afternoon, distinguished engineers, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to adopt the existing protocols in the interest of time. I want to first of all join all Nigerians in expressing my condolences on the passing of our immediate past president, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. May Almighty Allah accept his good deeds, overlook his shortcomings, and grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus. For me, it's a pleasure and indeed a privilege to be here this afternoon at the 33rd Coren Engineering Assembly. I want to thank the leadership of Coren for this opportunity to speak to a subject that is close to my heart, the role of strategic engineering alliances and the expansion of engineering regulation monitoring in strengthening engineering compliance in Nigeria. As both an engineer and a public servant, I stand here today wearing two hats. One technical, the other political, and both deeply invested in seeing our profession thrive, not just in theory, but in practice, and not just in pockets of excellence, but right across the nation. Next slide, please. I want us to begin by grounding ourselves in reality. Engineering does not happen in isolation. Every road constructed, every bridge raised, every piece of public infrastructure is embedded in a complex web of regulations, approvals, funding decisions, and political will. What we face today is not simply a technical challenge. It is a structural, collaborative, and political one. And that makes compliance, real enforceable compliance, both a professional and a governance imperative. The idea that engineering will regulate itself does not reflect the reality on ground. If compliance is to succeed, it must be shared. Shared between regulators and ministries, between engineers and public officers, between political leaders and the professional bodies that advise them. Our job today is therefore to make that shared responsibility work in practice. So, what is ERM? It is Coren's most practical expression of enforcement, a boots-on-the-ground initiative that bridges the gap between policy and performance. ERM ensures that only those registered, qualified, and professionally accountable are allowed to practice engineering, particularly in the delivery of public infrastructure. And this is not backed by wishful thinking, it is backed by law. Sections 19 and 20 of the 2018 Coren Act amendment establish the ERM framework as a legal mandate. This gives us teeth, the legal authority to inspect, question, intervene, and if possible, if necessary, to sanction. But even more importantly, ERM represents public trust, because when we monitor project sites or inspect factory installations, we are not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it to ensure that engineering is safe, credible, and in the service of society. It is our duty to ensure that engineering remains a profession that protects lives and does not endanger them. Next slide, please. Today, Coren's regulatory mandate stretches across no fewer than 11 major sectors of the Nigerian economy, from power to oil and gas, from aviation to biomedical engineering. We are seeing an explosion in the application of engineering, but that expansion also demands a wider regulatory footprint. Let me give you an example from my own state. In the past 6 years that we have been in office, we've seen tremendous growth in the industrial sector, in the telecommunications sector, agro-processing plants, and also residential developments. All of these rely on engineering input, yet I cannot beat my chest to say all of them are adequately monitored. That's the challenge. As engineering expands, so must our regulatory and enforcement mechanisms, or we risk losing control of quality and safety in sectors that depend on it. Next. Please take a look at this slide. Accidents everywhere. This is a painful but necessary slide. We've all seen these pictures: collapsed buildings, failed roads, industrial fires, bridges that give way too soon, people losing their lives in tragedies that are avoidable. These are not just accidents. They are, at the bottom of it, failures of oversight, the consequences of gaps in regulation and failures in enforcement. We must stop blaming only the contractor or the developer. We must look inwards at the systems that allowed these failures to happen. As professionals, we must be honest enough to say compliance is not a suggestion, it is a life-saving obligation, and every time we ignore it, we put lives at risk. But let us also be honest and talk to ourselves about why enforcement struggles. We are dealing with fragmented enforcement structures, bureaucratic red tape, regulatory overlap, limited understanding among private sector operators, and in many cases, a lack of prioritization by subnational governments. Many state ERM committees, where they even exist, are underfunded, unsupported, or simply unknown. And this is not always due to resistance. Sometimes it is because no one has made the case clearly to decision makers. That is where advocacy and political engineering must come in. We must speak the language of politicians and budget makers. We must make the case that regulation is not an obstacle to development. It is a pillar of sustainable growth. Now we have to talk about strategic alliances as a national imperative. This work cannot be done alone by Coren. We need strategic alliances, formal partnership with sister agencies like NAFDAC, NERC, SON, NCC, NIMASA, and others to ensure a joined-up regulatory system. You imagine a world where data is shared across regulators, where joint inspections eliminate duplication, where standards are harmonized, where enforcement is faster, stronger, and smarter because we are working as one team. This is not a dream. This is what strategic alliances can deliver. If we move beyond ad hoc meetings to structured institutional partnerships. Next. State ERM committees are the engine room of compliance. Coren may provide the strategy, but state ERM committees are the engine room of compliance. They understand local context, they know which sites are active, they know the contractors, the shortcuts, the warning signs. They serve as Coren's eyes and ears in the field. In Ogun State, we have found that the success of regulation rests on how functional and empowered these committees can be. And we want to call on all other state governments to look at this and work together with Coren to make sure that we can put this in place. They should not be viewed as administrative boxes to tick, but as vital mechanisms of safety, quality assurance, and accountability. Now I speak as a deputy governor, and I talk to my colleagues in government and say we must take ownership of engineering compliance. This means that we must allocate budget lines for ERM support, make sure that our states sign executive orders or laws that formalize this enforcement, must sensitize MDAs to recognize and support Coren's work, and ensure that every engineering project undergoes proper regulatory scrutiny. If we are serious about infrastructure, we must also be serious about regulating it. As I speak to my fellow engineers in political and public office, we must become advocates for the profession, not just practitioners of it. Please let us use our voices. Let us use our influence to get enforcement through. We must mentor younger engineers to think beyond design, to think in terms of governance, ethics, and compliance. We cannot afford to be silent. Our silence is permission, and our inaction is complicity. Now is the time for us to move from aspiration to action. We need to formalize every alliance, institutionalize every partnership, activate every state ERM committee, integrate compliance into every project and every budget. Let us ensure that engineering regulation is not personality-driven or budget-dependent, but embedded, permanent, and irreversible. Because our profession must stand not only the brilliance of our design, but on the integrity of our systems. Let engineering compliance become a marker of governance quality in Nigeria. Together, let us build a Nigeria where engineering compliance is not seen as optional. It is expected, it is enforced, and it is respected. Let it become part of our culture, embedded in how we think, how we work, and how we build. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow engineers, thank you for your time, for your attention, and your commitment to this vital cause. Thank you, and have pleasant deliberations.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better than that. Let's put our hands together once more for Her Excellency, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, FNSC. Thank you. May I now invite to the podium the chairman of this plenary section, the president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Engineer Professor Sadiq Zubair Abubakar, FNSC FA Eng. Let's put our hands together for him as he takes the stage.
Any other person we want to invite? Any other person? Are they effective? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to update you on the circumstances that we find ourselves again. And I'm sure understanding why we have to collapse the opening ceremony with the technical session that we have initially designed. I will refer you to, please, those of us that have the brochure, I will refer you to page 24, where we have technical papers at a glance. We are expected to have the keynote address that addresses the main theme of the assembly, and we have 3 supporting presentations as lined on page 24. As announced by the MC, the keynote speech and the presentation of His Excellency Engineer Abdullah Sule are going to be uploaded on our website, and we are going to share them with the participants. We have gotten the 2 other presentations presented, and the eminent speakers are here with us. I will, on behalf of everybody here, want to congratulate them for the very eloquent and very rich and research presentation we have received from them. Please, can we put our hand and congratulate them once again? Furthermore, I would like to now open the floor for discussion. But before then, I will give a very little synopsis. Looking at the main theme, we are at a crossroad looking at quality services that are engineering oriented, reinforced by businesses that are supposed to develop our economy and advance our development as a nation. we carefully segment this theme into three. The MCPD, which we know is going to advance the professionalism of our practitioners. And I'm very excited that Her Excellency has added an item that we should not only be practitioners, but we should be advocates. Because that is one of our weakest links. We are so much, engaged and focused on technicalities and designs. But we don't seem to care about the advocation and the governance. As a group of professionals, if we assess ourselves against other professionals, we know we are very low in that. We are not politically oriented, we are not well positioned politically, so we are not positioning ourselves as advocates, and we seem not to care much about the governance. I wish Engineer Sile is here to discuss that. What Her Excellency discussed is very apt. The evolution and the dynamism of development in our young country clearly implies that we must dissect our mandate given to us. Coren has a very generic mandate for the last 52 years. If you look at our clause, they said Coren is to regulate engineering education, engineering training, and engineering practice in all aspects and ramifications. This is a burdensome responsibility. Coren is expected to regulate all economic sectors of this country. And the paper of Her Excellency clearly gives us the roadmap of synergy, strategic partnership with the other regulators that came off and that were established much, much later. We now have very strong, viral, sectoral regulators who are rightly so focused in their sector of regulation. Coren must change its dynamics to be able to partner and synergize. And I'm very excited that Her Excellency have aptly provided us a roadmap. I would like you to please look at that and let us interrogate that. She has gone further to even, project to us the targets of the sectoral regulators very aptly. We congratulate you, Ma, and we thank you for that submission. Lastly, my mentor, Engineer Senator Omishore, the aspect he took, or he was assigned to handle, and without doubt, he has, if I may say that, my Oga has done over syllabus. Because what we saw, first there is a conceptual positioning of what is the remuneration. How do we appreciate the connection between the remuneration and our performances? Do we have a coordinated approach as professionals in the engineering sector? Do we have a unified position? Are we having a consensus of all the diverse engineering professionals and practitioners? I'm sure all of us understand the diversity of our profession. We have consulting engineers and technicians. We have vending. We have manufacturing. We have operation and services. We have fabrications. There are quite a lot of them. Can we have a single cost fee for all these categories? Are we having a competitive remuneration structure? Have we gotten the consensus? Can we enforce it? Are we to disaggregate and go sectorial, or we should have unified? These are fundamental questions which the presenter tried to provide highlights. I believe these are also very apt issues that assembly like this should focus and discuss. We should interrogate, so that at the end of the day, the engineering professionals should have something similar to what the legal professionals are having, what the medical professionals are having, what the accounting professionals and all other professionals. They have gone very far on this. They have a unified, coordinated, acceptable, legislated, and enforceable cost fee in their profession that guide their services and they guide their actions. And the engineering professionals need to go in the same direction. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guests, this is my little synopsis of what I've heard. I will now invite contributions, interrogations, interventions, and let's say in the next 30 or so minutes, so that we'll be able to free our eminent speakers. They are here to entertain any intervention, any query, any contributions. May I segment that I will go to my right and then I will go to my left. So I will invite contributions and intervention from my right-hand side. Please, if you have any intervention, identify yourself and let us give you the mic so that you can speak to the audience. I saw invite. Yes. Please raise your hand, stand up so that you can be recognized. Where are the mics? Take all of them. Here we don't need them. Yes. Yeah. Take the two and then give it to them.
Sorry. Your Excellencies, my President of Coren, distinguished colleagues, the assembly we are having this year is one of the best so far. We have those who are in the aim of, they have given us, which there's engineering failure here, I don't know. If we can implement, we will be better like our contemporary professional colleagues in other fields. Like we used to say, the most difficult professional courses in the world is engineering. But we are not being given that regard, especially in Nigeria, because our political class don't recognize our value. I'm sure the current law was promulgated by our House of Assembly speakers and officers. I don't know why it is very impossible, very difficult for us to implement this law that whatever you want to do outside, in terms of remuneration, we are not being given any good stance. Like our Excellency have said, without you, the leadership of Coren, relate with the governors and the House of Assembly, I don't see us getting the value for what we are doing. They have spoken. The two of them have spoken very well. But to us, it's like theory. But implementation, enforcement, is our problem in this country. When you want to bid, you are bidding with non-professionals, they will still get job it means that we are not following the law that were promulgated. So the question is from them. Our Excellency is from the state. My other brother is was a senator. I want them to give us way forward. How do we monitor and implement engineering law in this country so that the engineers can get benefit in terms of remuneration and also in terms of patronage? There is no foreign lawyer in Nigeria. There is no foreign doctor in Nigeria, no foreign pharmacy in Nigeria. Why is it that in the engineering field we have everything? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have an echo problem here. Yeah, we have an echo problem here. We didn't really capture what you are saying. Maybe we need to change the positioning of the interveners. Ijika, let them be coming here if you want, because we can't hear them. Yes, any other person?
Okay.
Yes, look at some hand there.
Okay, I can stay there. Good day, colleagues. Do I need to come out there from here? I don't know whether I'm being... Right. Mr. President, I'm Engineer Frederick Kano. I don't know whether you can hear me or I should use the mic outside. The echo. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, in terms of remuneration and trying to recognize engineering profession, I think that's why we've had it wrong. If we check the word emerging technologies, let's take for instance China. For you to hold any useful political position, you have to be an engineer. For instance, we all know that Xi Jinping, the president of China, is a chemical engineer. So what am I trying to say? The problem we are having, because they know that for you to advance, you have to be technologically inclined. That simply means that you have to be comfortable with the remuneration. If you check other emerging developing countries, the engineers are well respected, the remunerations are top notch. Now what I will say is, we really need to have a promulgation that will make it very important that every engineer will have a benchmark in terms of remuneration, irrespective of your section. I think Coren can chair this. Some of us also in the corporate world, we can equally help and work towards that. Once we make it serious that this is what there will be a benchmark, nobody will go below a benchmark, and we enforce it. That's why we're having a lot of incidents. Let me tell you one thing. If you are not well motivated, all of us know the theory of motivation, you can't get the best. For you to get the best, you will be ready to pay the price for the best. And that is what I want to say. Thank you, and over to you.
You're welcome. Yes, the next person, I saw a lady's hand.
The chairman of president of the Coren, His Excellency, Senator Yola Omishore, the Deputy Governor, NSC President, other dignitaries, and fellow engineers. Good afternoon. It's nice to be here, but like they say, charity begins from home. What a presentation made by Senator Engineer Yola Omisore. It was a very good presentation. But I can tell you that the problem starts from the so-called engineers. When you have encounter with your fellow engineers, either in any agency or in any organization, you realize that the enemies of a man is a member of his household. So what am I driving? Because I'm going to be different. I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. If you go to agency or government establishments, when you see your fellow engineers that you feel they're supposed to give you support, encourage you, they will be the one that will be pricing you down. They will be the one that will refuse to pay even the scale. For me, I'm in the building services engineering. At times, what we to go and hide under the architects to use their scale of fee, because we don't even know which scale of fee is even reasoned for even the engineers. But with the presentation that we had today, we see that we have a scale of fee, but they are not implemented. So like I said, charity begins from home. So I want to, fellow engineers, if you are opportunity to hold a special position or post in any agency or any parastatals, when you see your fellow engineer, please treat them with respect, with dignity. Let them know that they've paid their prices in the course of this hard course that we've all studied in university. So treat them very well. If you don't treat them very well, other members of the board or the panel don't look down on the profession and give them speech in terms of the echo is the issue here. So then lastly, then for those of us who are members of ACEN, I want to appeal to the ACEN president, please let us look at this issue of scale of fee. It's actually demoralizing most of us and is killing even our spirit. For those of us that are still standing and not Japan outside this country, shows that we have interest and we have hope in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I come to my left, please? Any intervention on my left? Yes. Please stand up and let's recognize you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. Please, can you hear me clearly because of the echo?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Once more, good afternoon, Your Excellencies, our fellow engineers, and every able member present here. I, as a person, I enjoyed the presentation that was made by Senator Mishori. He was like hitting the nail on the head, especially while he was talking about the scales of profession and how standards need to be enforced in payment of engineering professionals. But my question is this, sir. Sir, you recommended 300% increment for the present engineering payment, and also you went further to look at hourly rate payments and made comparative analysis of some other Western countries. So my question comes back home. In an economy that took a while before we arrived at 77,000 naira as minimum wage, how can we enforce this recommendation in order to balance the advocate of affordable housing for us in real estate development industry? That is one. Then secondly, how can this renewed scale be managed in order to manage competition among professionals? What I mean is this. A new scale might be passed. I will be ready to collect the old rate, but my fellow engineer here will be ready to collect a new rate. As such, we are not unified on what is being projected. Why someone somewhere is banking on the new scale of professional payment, another person will take advantage of the competition. So how can we manage this gap if this your recommendation is being enforced? Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Can we have the next person on my left?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes. Go there.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, do I need to go ahead?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Okay. So take the first round.
Good afternoon.
Then you can go. Huh? Yes, please. Engineer Felix.
Thank you, my president. I didn't know I was recognized. Your Excellencies, and everybody, thank you and God bless you. My question goes to the two presenters. The first one is for the Deputy Governor. She said something about budgeting, state budgeting for ERM. I would be happier if you can explain it further for us. State budgeting for ERM. She said something like that, yes, in her paper. Yeah, so if you can expatiate a little bit, maybe to tell her maybe how shall we do from our own state and how the other states can do it. That will help in strengthening the ERM. And then for the Senator Omisere, she said something about 3% at the scale of fees. I think it started from 3% for civil engineers, 4% for mechanical, electrical, C7, up to 8, petroleum engineering. Can you please explain the basis of that differentiation? Can you explain the basis for that differentiation, starting from civil?
I'm not hearing you well.
Hello? Is it okay now? Yes, I think for Senator Omisore, in giving all the scale of fees, it started from civil, I think that 3.5 or 4. Okay. Yes, thank you very much, sorry. I think my only for Senator Omisore, when you were talking about the scale of fees, it started from the civil engineering, I think either 3.5 or 4%, then to mechanical, to electrical, up to petroleum engineering, 8%. Can you please explain the basis for that differentiation? Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Engineer Felix. Yes, please go back. Somebody there. Please, we would like to have the first round so that we allow the presenters to respond. So after this intervener, we will try to allow them to respond, and then we'll go for second round. So please be patient. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm still standing by.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, can I go ahead?
Mr. President, distinguished speakers, my question, I don't know whether it's more related to ERM or directly to the president. We have a situation that I've seen not just peculiar to a company bidding for a project. Hello? And then invites an engineering practitioner, maybe to sub-consult project, and he gives them his CV, his Coren and his credentials, including his Coren certificate and probably current practicing license. And then they bid for that project, they do the project, and now the company has his CV. So they are going for subsequent projects. They carry that person's CV without even informing him, include it on their bidding document, get another project, and they execute it. And that happens because the people handling the procurement don't request for the current practicing license of the people on their team. So Coren is losing money because somebody's name is getting the project without a recent practicing license, and the person himself is also losing money because his CV is being used without him even being aware of it. So I'm trying this. How can we partner with relevant people in charge of procurement such that when an engineer is on the team of a company bidding for a project, the current practicing license for that year becomes a requirement for the person to pass through the bidding process? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very exciting intervention. can answer you. I will invite you. Thank you very much. I will permit me to now ask the presenters to please respond to some of these very exciting interventions. I will start with Her Excellency. Excellency, Ma, if yes, try to respond to some of the interventions. Thank you.
Give your own to her.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman, Your Excellency, fellow engineers. Thank you for the follow-up questions. I'm very happy that we are able to absorb the issues that were discussed, and we had these very robust questions. I'll pick on one of the last questions that was asked, which said, why did I suggest that there should be funding lines for ERM? I think we look at it an issue of if you have a defendant in court and the defendant is the one who is paying the judge's salary, what do you think will happen? The ERM committees should be funded. There's a finite cost attached to it. They are members of the committee. They have to move around and prepare their reports and also work on sanctioning if possible. So we cannot expect that the cost will be borne by the companies who are being visited. And also, we cannot expect that this should be a central purse from Coren, because the revenue for Coren is not determined by the volume of infrastructure development in the country. That is exclusively determined by those businesses. So my own suggestion and my proposal would be for state governments to institutionalize Coren by either legislation or executive orders and provide some money for Coren, perhaps a percentage of their votes on works and infrastructure, for instance, to support the ERMs to carry out the activity. At the end of the day, the effect of the ERM is a better infrastructure development across our respective states. And since the monitoring takes place at subnational level, we have to look at them to provide the funding. So we don't do it in my state yet. That's not my suggestion. That's not what I said. But it is my suggestion that we look at this. And the chairman mentioned about engagement and advocacy. And I think one of the first questioners also mentioned it, that Coren should actively engage with the Governors Forum to let them appreciate the work that Coren is doing on their behalf, for them, for their citizens and government, and the country at large, so that they can support the work of Coren, by employing competent consultant engineers to carry out consultancy work for them, employing registered contractors to make sure that they deliver the projects that have been designed, adequate remuneration for engineers right across all their respective states, and like we said, finally, supporting ERM so that we get the best from what the engineers have designed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this apt contribution. I will now invite Senator Engineer Yola Omishore to respond to some of the interventions as well. Senator, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. First and foremost, from the speeches and the interventions, let me start from the last one on the issue of using engineers' certificates of practice, outdated ones for procurement and bidding processes. About 2 weeks ago, I was talking to the Coren President that there's a need for us to make it a compulsion and make it across to the BPPP to request that annual licenses be reviewed and be made as a condition precedent to having contracts for contractors in engineering projects. At the same time, to ensure that each of the engineers involved are made to sign their signature, like we normally do in World Bank and ADB projects. in water projects, in FDA and international IBRD, ICB jobs, you cannot put anybody's name without his knowledge or her knowledge, because he or she must sign a consent to it. At the end of the day, you make an authorization that in case this bid document is forged, you are liable to be disqualified. That is why, as a Coren, part of our practice, we are going to ensure it's a condition precedent to the bidding process in Nigeria, both at BPP level, BPE level, and ICRC level. On the issue of the scale of fees and the enforcement, the Coren, in their wisdom, at one of the council meetings, has agreed that they are going to enforce like a policy guideline and ensure that they are gazetted. The amount of 300% is just a case to, just a calculation of 2014 dollar rates to what is it today. So that 300% is just conservative based on what realistic on this state. But the ACAN president discussed the eco policy with me. Maybe by tomorrow we look at it together and come to an informed decision as to ensure that all fees are paid. I believe that if anybody is not paid well, you not give your best. That is why I've done a lot of research to ensure that engineers are paid fully for their work done. Thank you.
Very well. Let me chip in on one aspect. Clearly, there was a dominance of the interesting aspect is more on remuneration. We expected this because this is dear to us. I will want to announce to you that tomorrow there will be a workshop on this subject of remuneration and scale of fees for engineering practitioners, not only engineers. Please, I want you to be mindful that it's not only engineers that we have in the engineering family. We have the technologies, we have the technicians, and we have the craftsmen. Tomorrow there will be a workshop, and this workshop is based on 3 documents. Coren has published what you call scale of fees in 2014. It was looked at, its flexibility and its non-adoption, informed Coren to revise it and publish it again in 2015. And then it was again, sent into the market for usage. After about 2-3 years, we understand there was low adoption. There was low use. And to complicate matters, that document do not enjoy legislation either by Coren or above authorities, so it cannot be enforced. So we ask and task ACAN to conduct a study on how do we change the narration, how do we have a scale of fees, remuneration, and fee structure that encompass all of us, that is friendly, that is easy to use. So many things, questions were asked. And ACAN diligently took time to undertake that study. ACAN has submitted the report to Coren. And Coren has set a committee to review that report. So tomorrow, the president of ACAN and some other members were tasked to come and lead that discussion of tomorrow, the workshop, looking at the 2025 edition of the EcoPace that Coren published, and then the report submitted by ACAN. I'm sure that is going to guide us and have a very, guided discussion so that we have something that we can eventually, call ours. We hope that tomorrow we will build a consensus on that document. So this is the little I can say about the discussion today. It will snowball into tomorrow, for the workshop, and we'll see what comes out of it. The other point I would just like to mention is that we have noted the non-use of the renewal of practicing lancing by practitioners, and that has, like the last speaker mentioned, affected us in different ways. This is what has led to a very strategic synergy between Coren, NSE, NATE, and other professional associations. We have developed what we call EPEC, Engineering Professional Examination Committee. We have gazetted that bill, and for once, we are almost getting to the point where there will be this examination formally. And this examination is going to be based on CPDU, Continuous Professional Development Unit, which the association will undertake. And then you will come to Coren, present your CPDU, then you will be able and be eligible to obtain your annual practicing lancing. Coren has spent money in millions to develop a platform that allows seamless registration into the EPEC by the associations and with Coren, seamless payment. This is also going to be discussed. So these are the little things I would like to highlight, and I would like to encourage all of us to try and be here tomorrow so that we have these discussions that will certainly guide us to have a new change and to have a new narration in Coren and beyond. With this, I would like to open the... Okay. Of course, we are going to open the second round of this discussion. But Her Excellency, maybe I will allow you to speak. Yeah, no, go ahead, ma. No, tell them that you have another something you want to go. Take this. Yes.
Sorry, my dear colleagues, I'm sorry I have to take my leave. I have to catch a flight. I have to be back in Abeokuta for a very important assignment. I'm very sorry. I wish you pleasant deliberations and look forward to coming around again. Thank you very much.
We thank you, ma, for all the time. Can we go for the second? Huh? You can't hear me? You
have to recognize the online participants.
Oh, I can't see them. Okay. I'm sorry. The sitting arrangement is not permitting me to recognize the virtual participants. It's not here. If we have any of our colleagues participating virtually that want to contribute, please can you indicate your desire to participate by raising your hand? Okay, what's the name? Invite him. Ijika, take mic.
So we entertain the online participants. We have Shade Ishola. Can you put on your mic and talk to us? Ask your question now. Shade Ishola.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm right with you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I believe you all can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. All right. Thank you very much, the president and all our invited guests. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot. And I want to encourage you, please keep up the good work. Yes, sir, my question is, how about we in the academics, sir? What is our hope? Because we have AUC regulating tertiary institutions. We have Coren. What is the hope when it comes to remuneration of engineers who are also academic staff? And again, I want to ask, sir, even in the academy, we discovered that there are a whole lot of foul play there. We see some people who are not qualified. For instance, we see some technicians trying to take up the job of of an engineer. How can you people come to our aid to see that we maintain a whole lot of... Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
We can.
Hello?
We can hear you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We want to see how Coren can come to our aid, sir. We need you people to urgently come to our aid. Let's see that all our professors, all our senior colleagues are well remunerated. Then we all can also be able to afford coming to attend an assembly like this physically. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shadi, for that beautiful contribution. I'm sure Senator will respond to that. Any other contribution? Yes, here. Yes, go and give it to Engineer Meju, Victor Meju.
Thank you. Get a good one. Get a good one. Is that right? Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I think this is low. Can you hear me from there, Mr. President?
Very clear.
All right. First, I will speak. My name is Engineer Victor Meju, SCC Anambra State. I will speak on 2 points. One, as a practitioner in the field. First and foremost, I think the challenge we have is that Supreme Court has ruled over the years that it's difficult, very difficult, to allow a federal law to be practiced in the states where it is not being domesticated. It's a challenge to enforce and implement current acts in the states. By the purpose of this assembly, it will be wise and very rational if the assembly will look into domesticating the law at the state level for easy implementation. That's a very seamless process, and I think we can achieve that. Again, the encyclopedia presentation made by our distinguished Senator Oboshere and the very fervent and well-apt presentation made by Her Excellency, I think is very good. What I think we should do at this point is to set up a subcommittee to look into these two encyclopedias, harmonize it, and have a unified or what we call a consolidated fee for practice. And then we can now send it out to various states for advocacy. What we need at this point is advocacy. Fees for sure is there, but nobody recognizes it. It's not embedded in any law apart from the consolidated fee of 2014. That law is obsolete, and we need also to rejig. Mr. President, let me sit here and allow you to finish. Probably I will come to your office so that I can look into it and I can reject it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Barrister. You know, he's one of our double-barrel engineers. He's a barrister, he's also an engineer. Well, thank you, Engineer Meju. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished guests, I want to appreciate Mr. President in his effort and what you've done so far in ERM. You are doing very well, sir. And I would like to make some contributions. Beyond what we've done so far, I wish to solicit that you include training of ERM members. Training of ERM members. ERM members need to be trained on enforcement. Enforcement is a very crucial thing. You don't just recruit people, get them together in states without training them on how to make this enforcement. Since ERM is like foot soldiers of Coren, they need to be trained. So I wish to solicit Mr. President to organize training. This training can be done anywhere for ERM members from different states, beyond empowering them financially and empowering them with other relevant tools they need. They need to be trained on how to advocate and how to do engineering work, because most times, most of these personnel, they go to sites, they visit different sites, but they don't really know what are we supervising, what should we ask, what should we do. So there is need for training of ERM members. And Mr. President, just like all the efforts you've been making, you've been putting in place, I wish you also consider this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a very important point. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, former registrar, Engineer Professor Odugiri.
I want to join the last speaker to commend Mr. President and Council. Sir, every year there is Federal State Establishment Council where salaries are discussed every year. And whatever we do now, let's make sure that it's written as a proposal to this council. There is no way we can implement salary or what do you call it, remuneration for engineers without the approval of this joint council of federal and state government in that annual council. So please, let's make sure whatever we do goes to that council. A memo should be written to them, and we must be ready to go and defend it before them. If they approve it, it automatically becomes a standard. That was why we got the engineering skill level 9 as stepping as the beginning of entry for all engineers to be approved. And if we can do this and insist that remuneration of salaries or remuneration of consultants or whatever we want to put it should be based on that scale, let's see how we can pass it through that council and it becomes a nationally accepted scale of fee.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Excellent one. Yes, anybody on this side, on my right side? Yes. Please, yes, stand up. Let them recognize you and give you. When do they do it now? Then we can come afternoon now for lunch. Yeah, we can close now. If we close, they can't do it again. Why?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to comment on engineering regulation. Can I go on?
Okay, I understand people are going for session. Yes, they went for even the chairman went for a session. So we Olu and his boys, let them announce it. After this one, they come and do it. Yeah, again? I'm the one? Yes, I'm sorry, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Engineer Dr. Smith. I want to comment on engineering regulation. Engineering regulation. Regulation. There is something that is going on in this country which many of us know, but it's like nobody wants to talk about it. The comatose nature of Standard Organization of Nigeria. If we go to the market, we notice that a lot of engineering materials are of substandard. For example, you want to buy steel rod, you will notice that 16 mm, they will boldly print 16 mm, but what you are buying is actually 12 mm. And some builders will use it as 16 mm in a building that was designed for 16 mm. But they are using something that is less than the standard. It's like that in the electrical industry. If you want to buy electric cable, you see 2.5 mm boldly written. But when you purchase it, what you see is 1.5 mm in chemical industry and other industry. The list goes on and on. And the standard organization is not doing anything about it. That is a
Your voice has went up.
That has severely affected engineering practice. Now, I have a suggestion and a question. My question is, what is Coren doing about that? And my suggestion is this, that Coren should actively intervene. Since some is not doing what they should do, Coren should find a way of prodding them and other regulatory agencies, if it means the one that appointed the director of SUN, he should be told that they are not doing their work, and that is adversely affecting our practice as engineers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Check. Check. 1, 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sir. The distinguished Senator, my fellow participants, good evening. My name is Qasim Mohammed, a professor of environmental engineering with Bayero University, Kano, and currently the DG Due Process and Project Monitoring Bureau, Jigawa State. Mr. President, sir, I want to make an intervention, submit my intervention regarding the issues of scale of fees and remuneration for engineering practitioners. Looking at the current scale of fees, I believe it's not a piece of, it's not gazetted. I think after the workshop tomorrow, there is need for us to think towards gazetting the scale of fees and remuneration so that it becomes enforceable. Because whomever fixes it, he will know that it has weight, it carries weight, and it has to be enforced. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I'm sure tomorrow when you see the recommendation of the committee, this is one of the recommendations of the committee that did the work from AKEN. So thank you very much for that contribution. On my left, any other intervention? All right. Please, I recognize him as such, so give it to him.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Engineer Abdulmajid Mohamed Salisu from Center for Renewable Energy Research, Umar Musa Eradua University. My own contribution goes in line with the second to the last spokesperson who talked about synergy between Coren and Standard Organization of Nigeria. I think I would like to give a kind of scenario when dealing with, for example, solar components like lithium-ion battery. The nameplate indicated on the battery maybe it's 15 kilowatts, but when you apply a lot to it, you discover that it's less than that. I think it's high time for Coren to intervene in this kind of bad practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the contribution. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished members. My contribution is in line with how to make the Gazette more acceptable to all the government establishments and private organizations. Just as like what Engineer Gufure, former registrar said, we must ensure that apart from the Gazette being taken, the draft Gazette being taken to the Federal Ministry of Justice for enactment, it must also, a memo must also go to the Federal, Council on Judiciary, where all the states of the Federation are properly and legally represented, so that the moment that memo is taken at the council level, it becomes operational and legal for all the states in Nigeria to implement. I submit. Thank you.
Otherwise, let him stay until further do their own. Thank you very much for the contribution. I think we need to, anyway. Yes.
All right. May I stand on the already established protocol? My name is Engineer Aminu Amaduyaro, MNSE, Chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Yola Branch. I want to chip in on the issue of using engineers' documents and CVs in standard bidding documents. I was in a training in Kano State in May this year, organized by the Bureau for Public Procurement, where they have tried to tackle this problem. The measure they have taken is that anytime the CV or document of an engineer is going to be used in any procurement process, that engineer should be given a form filled so that his consent will be taken, his signature will appear, and his Coren registration number and current practicing license will also be reflected. So my contribution here is that there is need for the Coren to collaborate or synergize with the BPP so that this process is enforced. Because this is the only way the Coren will get revenue, and then the engineers will be protected as professionals. And this is also the only way the documents of engineers will continue to be used in projects where they don't benefit in any way. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we are going to have a good response on that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, can you permit me to beg you to truncate these question-answer sessions? Because we have another event that we have to accommodate before we take our leave. Meanwhile, I will invite the senator to respond to some of these, where I also compliment.
Mr. President, as you are aware that all the questions that have arisen from the fees are things that all of us were aware. There's nothing new that has come to me that has not been envisaged or been contested in the past. So I believe that we need courage. We need to get set these fees, make it enforceable, as to encourage our engineers in the practice. Because a poorly paid worker will deliver poor delivery. Somebody was saying something that government that was unable to pay minimum wage of 70,000 naira, how will they pay fees? Minimum wage is for employees. Fees are for consultants or contract jobs. So they are not this, you can't compare the two of them together. We just, as a Coren, and a task force or a implementation committee will be formed to ensure that government respects and all forms of procurement, they take into consideration our resolutions at this meeting. and pass to any level to ensure compliance. If it's compliant, then people will have life to live. Because engineering is the most abused profession in this country. Most abused. Everybody is an engineer, carpenter, bricklayer, medugo, normal, you know, because everybody is an engineer. But if you come out with these principles and give teeth to our laws, it's better for all of us. Good payment enhances a good job. Bad payment brings bad output. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to take one out of many of the interventions to respond to, which I think is very important. The aspect of ERM training, suggested by one of our colleagues, I would like to mention to you that these we have already packaged. In ERM and E now, that's what you call it, ERM and E. We have added the word that was implied before. Now it has come out explicit. The E is for enforcement. Because when you monitor, the ultimate is to enforce if there is no compliance. We have identified about 7 tasks that the ERM team must do. And these are as follows. I tried to jot them while he was asking the question. We are now introducing what you call whistle blowing. We have packaged and identified items on how to train whistle blowers in the various aspects of inspection and monitoring. So 3, whistle blowing, inspection, monitoring. And then the panel, the investigation, then the enforcement. These are the 5 items, tasks we have identified. And we are planning to train the ERMs in each of the states under the STC. We have also developed 2 tools. We now have the gazettes, about 12 of them now, about 15 now, that are on specific items. We are going to make sure that after the training, every trained and certified inspector or enforcer has those gazettes. And we have developed what we call checklists to guide the inspectors that are in construction sector to go and inspect and monitor. Checklists in the mining sector, checklists in the telecommunication sector, checklists in the power sector. In this way, all the 11 sectors that are going to have ERM inspectors will have these things. And so we have already envisaged training for all the ERM inspectors in all of the states. Currently, we have 22 STCs inaugurated. We are vigorously pursuing to inaugurate additional 5 this year. Our hope is that before end of next year, all the 36 STCs and the STC of Abuja plus the national STC are going to be inaugurated by God's grace by 2026, end of 2026. And when we have these structures, then we will intensify the training, going sector by sector. This is a little contribution I would like to have. And I also agree with the former registrar that in the scale of fees, what it became apparent to us is that in the public sector, we have to go the way he described, because there is a council that will have to accept and approve the new scale of fees of public servants who are engineers, technicians, and technologists. But in the private sector, our EcoPass is the way to go, is the trajectory. We have to sit down and engage the private sector intensively to have a consensus on the scale of fees, but looking at the various cadres, as it were. There's a lot of discussion that will happen tomorrow on this. And finally, I will say that we have already initiated discussion with the BPP and head of service on the use of practicing licensing, replacing the registration certification. This has already been concluded, and I'm very excited when people are very much aware of this. With this, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our two presenters, even though Her Excellency is in absentia, and of course the audience, especially our chairman, Professor Bat Naji, who patiently, accommodated us, because we are dealing with unusual situations, sir. We have to collapse the afternoon session to be able to make sure that we comply with what we are told, so that there are no issues after this assembly between us and our revert leadership in this country. We thank you for that accommodation. We will come back and continue to finish up the opening ceremony. We have one item, and I would like to crave your indulgence to allow us to finish that. That is the presentation of winners of the engineering graduate students under the CODET committee. That is the Committee of Deans of Engineering in Nigerian universities. They have undertaken competitions, and the winners have emerged. Usually it's at the end of this opening ceremony that we recognize them and we appreciate them. So please, I will again appeal to you to allow us to have that segment, so that the chairman and other dignitaries will lead us to go and do the final assignment today, which is inspection of the exhibitors pavilion. So with this, I would like to invite the MC and of course the chairman of the CODET Competition Committee, Professor David Olukami, to please take over the affairs of this event. I thank you very much for your audience, for your support. Thank you so much, and good afternoon.
Can we please put our hands together for Mr. President, Engineer Professor Sadiq Zubair Abubakar, FNSC, FA Inch, and also our paper presenter, Engineer Senator Iyola Omishore, FNSC, FA Inch. Let's put our hands together for them. And as they take the group, the picture, may I now quickly invite Engineer Professor David O. Olukani of CODET to present the CODET Committee of Deans of Engineering and Technology in Nigerian Universities, their 2025 award for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to stand on the existing protocol and also want to appreciate the organizing committee of this program for this rare privilege to present this award. I have here with me also Professor Roland. Just the projects are in 3 categories. We have the best graduating student in the engineering category. We also have the second one, which is the group project category, and also the single project category. And the third one, we have the staff publication category. So for this year, 2025, the first place winner for the best graduating engineering student competition goes to Busoye Tolulope Matthias of the University of Ibadan. Please, let's put our hands together for them as they come forward for their award. Busoye Tolulope Matthias. The second place award goes to Samson Israel Kelechi from Imo State University, Owerri. Imo State University, Owerri. Please, let's put hands together for them. The third place goes to Oguntade Abbas Omowale from the University of Ilorin, third place. Then for the project category, we have the first place goes to Unwaigwe Kelechi Prudence of the University of Ibadan, single project category. The second place goes to Olaoye Emmanuel of FUT Mina. While the third place goes to Oluwaji Adebiyi Simisola of Afe Babalola University. Please, let's clap for them as they come forward. While for the staff publication for this year, we have the best or the first place winner for these authors, Adedayo HB, Sophia Rasangika, and Alunge of Elizade University. The second place goes to Adegboyega Oduniyi Odumade of Alex Ekweme Federal University, Undufe, Alike. And the third place goes to Desmond Eseogene Irawue, Oludolapo Akoni Olaruwaju of Bells University of Technology, Ota. Then for the single project category, we have the first place by title Afrovax, Solar Powered Vaccine Storage Solution, goes to Abu Ufedo Eke Ojioku of University of Ilorin. The second place goes to Dan Emmanuel Iniobong, Iruabuchi Jane, Chisom Unwali Emmanuel of Michael Okpara University. While the third place goes to Olayinka Olorunfemi, Adejumo Samuel, and Adegun Michael of Ekiti State University. Thank you very much, and God bless.
May I now please invite, okay, since they have given them, let me just call them. May I please, can we line up please and hold our certificates while I invite the chairman of the opening ceremony, Engineer Professor Bartholomew Nnaji, to please come up stage and congratulate you with your certificate. Okay.
Thank you. Please just call the okay, sir. Please let me quickly do that.
Okay, just
Thank
call.
Certificate. Yes, sir. The names in the certificate as we have, first place winner, Nwaigwe Kelechi Prudence of the University of Ibadan. The second place winner again, Best Graduating Engineering Student Competition, Samson Israel Kelechi of Imo State University. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir. The third place goes to Oluwaji Adebiyi Simisola of Afe Babalola University. Thank you, sir. The second place for the project category, we have Olaoye Emmanuel of FUT Mina.
But Nasu, you have conflict of interest. You are from Mina, you are from Coren. So how would? You know, OBE criteria.
The first place winner for the project category, Abu Ufedo Ojo and Eke Ojiogu of University of Ilorin. The third place winner in the project category, Olayinka Olorunfemi Adejuma Samuel and Adegun Michael of Ekiti State University. The third place winner for the best graduating engineering students is Oguntade Abbas Omowale of University of Ilorin. The best graduating engineering student for this year is by name Busoye Tolulokpe Matthias of the University of Ibadan. The third place winner, yes, sir, of the staff publication goes to Desmond Eseogene and Oludolapo Akoni of Belt University of Technology. Thank you, sir. All right, sir. Second place winner for the staff faculty publication is for Adegboyega Oduniyi Odumade of Alex Ekweme University, Ndufe, Alike. And the first place winner in the staff and faculty publication is Adedayo HB, Sopian Rasangika